Today on the bench, we're going to tie a pattern we've used for the past year that is being highly effective. It is called Don's Micro Squirrel Leech. It's a crazy looking pattern, but when this fly gets wet, it shines. So make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For the hook, we'll use a size 14 2x long curved. We'll use some 12-aught black thread to tie with, a 7/64 inch brown magic bead for the bead, some black marabou for the tail. For the rib, we'll use some medium copper wire, and for the body, we'll use some black and light olive micro pine squirrel. So we always start the fly off putting our bead on the hook with a small diameter towards the eyelet. Going to take our thread and tie it in, and I just go back towards the hook bend and just close to the hook bend. Now we're going to take a small clump of our marabou. You don't need a whole bunch, just a small amount, just for a small tail, and tie it in for the tail. Once the tail's tied in, I'm going to cut it just using my fingers to about the length of the hook. Now take some medium copper wire and we're going to tie this in. This will be to rib up the body after. And bring your thread forward to behind the bead. Now I'm going to take my black pine squirrel. I'm going to tie it in behind the bead and make sure when you bind it down that the bottom will lay flat so that all your fibers will stand up properly for the body. Once that's tied in, we're going to tie in our light olive pine squirrel, again right behind the bead with the black. And once it's tied in, take both of your pine squirrels and wrap them back together to form the body. And it usually takes, 3 to 4 wraps. It will look bushy, but that's what we want. Once the pine squirrel's tied in, we're going to take our copper wire and wrap it forward just to bind down all those fibers. And I usually create about 5 to 6 ribs up the fly. And tie off the wire and just windmill it to break it off. Now take some scissors and cut off all that extra pine squirrel you had in the back, the 2 tags, and cut them fairly tight so you don't have bulk. And now we're going to go back to the head, form a small head on the fly, and whip finish. Now the fly looks very bushy at this point. What we're going to do is wet our fingers with some water that we have available and just pull all that material back, and I'll show you how nice this fly looks when it gets wet. It breathes in the water, it swims nicely, and it looks like a nice small micro leech in the water. It's just a killer pattern. So there it is, Don's Micro Squirrel Leech. We've tried this for a couple years now. We kind of developed it a couple years ago, really used it last year, and it's very effective when you vary the bead colors. So try different bead colors and try different pine squirrel colors because they all work well.